So today we are going to discuss the anterior compartment of forearm. In this video, we are going to discuss the origin, insertion, nerve supply, and actions of all the muscles of the anterior compartment of forearm, along with the arteries and nerves supplying this compartment. This compartment has 8 muscles, 5 superficial and 3 deep, 2 vessels, the radial and the ulnar arteries, and 2 nerves, the median nerve and the ulnar nerve. The muscles of the anterior compartment of forearm in the superficial layer are starting from the lateral side. This red one, pronator teres, blue one, flexor carpi radialis, green one, palmaris longus, and yellow one, the flexor carpi ulnaris. Just below these is another superficial muscle called the flexor digitorum superficialis. The deep muscles are this blue one, flexor digitorum profundus, red one, the flexor pollicis longus, and the green one, flexor digitorum profundus. In this picture, we can see that the superficial muscles are pronator teres, flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, and flexor carpi ulnaris. Now, the attachments of these muscles is such that the pronator teres has two heads, the ulnar head and the radial head. They are originated from the coronoid process and are inserted into the lateral surface of radius. The flexor carpi ulnaris, palmaris longus, and flexor carpi radialis. The three flexors of the anterior compartment are originated from the common flexor origin, which is located on the medial epicondyle of humerus. And the insertion is of flexor carpi radialis to the base of second metacarpal, palmaris longus to the flexor retinaculum, and flexor carpi ulnaris to the pisiform, hook of hamate, and fifth metacarpal, along with the ulnar head, which is originated from the olecranon and posterior border of ulna. Now, all these muscles, the pronator teres, flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, these are supplied by the median nerve, and this flexor carpi ulnaris is supplied by the ulnar nerve. Then the flexor digitorum superficialis is originated from the medial epicondyle, that is the common flexor origin, and it is inserted into the medial 4 digits, and it is supplied by median nerve. The action of all the muscles is basically the flexion of wrist and fingers. In this picture, we can see the four superficial most muscles, the flexor pronator teres, flexor carpi radialis, palmaris longus, and flexor carpi ulnaris. Just below these is the flexor digitorum superficialis. Beneath these is the flexor pollicis longus and flexor digitorum profundus. And lastly, the deepest most is the pronator quadratus. Here again, we can see the muscles of the superficial layer. Here again, then we can see the muscles of the deep layer. Now, the arteries of the anterior compartment of forearm are radial and ulnar arteries. First of all, we are going to discuss the radial artery. Basically, radial artery is one of the terminal branches of the brachial artery in the arm. At the level of the cubital fossa, it is divided into two. The lateral one is radial and the medial one is ulnar. Here we can see the radial artery goes down deep to the brachioradialis muscle and runs on the lateral surface side of the forearm. And finally, at the level of the wrist, it goes deep and passes through the anatomical snuff box. The branches it gives are the radial recurrent artery, the muscular branches, palmar carpal branch, dorsal carpal branch, and superficial palmar branch, which forms the superficial palmar arch in the palm of hand. Here, this is the radial artery, which is palpated at this level. The ulnar artery is the second terminal branch of the brachial artery, the first being the radial artery. Ulnar artery starts at the level of cubital fossa and it goes deep to the flexors of the forearm, and it emerges at the level of wrist and passes above the flexor retinaculum and enters the hand, palm of the hand. The branches it gives are the anterior and posterior ulnar recurrent arteries, the common introitious artery, which further subdivides into anterior and posterior introitious artery. It gives muscular branches to the muscles, medial muscles of the forearm, and then it gives palmar and dorsal carpal branches, which form the superficial palmar arch. Here we can see this is the radial artery, which forms superficial deep palmar arch in the palm, and this is the ulnar artery, which forms superficial palmar arch in the palm of the hand. Now the nerves are the median and ulnar, median being the first nerve. It starts from the lateral and medial cords of the brachial plexus, goes down in the cubital fossa. It is the medial most component at the level of the cubital fossa. It goes down, gives an anterior introitious nerve which supplies deep muscles of the arm forearm. Then it goes down and passes beneath the flexor retinaculum and enters the hand. On its way, it supplies all the muscles of the anterior compartment of forearm except the medial muscles that are flexor carpi ulnaris and the medial part of flexor digitorum profundus, which are supplied by the ulnar nerve. Its branches are the muscular branches to the muscles of anterior compartment, anterior interosseous branch to the deep muscles, palmar cutaneous branch to the skin over thenar eminence, articular branches to the elbow joint and the radioulnar joints, vascular branches to the radial and ulnar arteries, and communicating branch to the ulnar nerve. In this picture, we can see the root values, the C5, 6, 7, 8, T1 of median nerve. It gives no branches here. Then it gives a branch to the brachial artery in the arm. Then in the forearm, it supplies the elbow joint, all the muscles of the anterior compartment of forearm except flexor carpi ulnaris and medial half of flexor digitorum profundus, which are supplied by ulnar nerve. And then in the palm, it supplies the um, lateral 3.5 fingers and palm of the hand. Now the ulnar nerve, this is the ulnar nerve arising from the medial cord of brachial plexus, passes behind the medial epicondyle of the humerus, then it goes down and then passes above the flexor retinaculum along with the ulnar artery. It supplies the medial half of flexor digitorum profundus along with flexor carpi ulnaris. The branch is muscular, as I have told you, it supplies only two muscles, the flexor carpi ulnaris and the medial half of flexor digitorum profundus in the forearm. Then it gives a palmar cutaneous branch which supplies skin over the hypothenar eminence, a dorsal cutaneous branch, and articular branch to the elbow joint. In this picture, we can see ulnar nerve having root value of C8 and T1, giving no branches in the axilla, giving a branch to the elbow joint in the region of upper arm. Then it supplies the flexor carpi ulnaris and medial half of flexor digitorum profundus. Partly gives supply to the ulnar artery as well, and then it supplies wrist joint, and then the remaining supply is to the medial 1.5 fingers and palm of the hand, and same likewise the medial 1.5 finger and dorsum of the hand. So this is all about the anterior compartment of forearm. Thank you.